Good evening, everyone. It's Chris here with your Saturday night thingy, and it's good to be with you tonight. It's been a nice fall day today. A little breezy if you were on a bike or in a boat, but other than that, it was really nice. I'm not actually in my kayak right now, but this shot certainly is more interesting to look at than my office, which is where I actually am right now. Anyway, I was out on my bike earlier today and earlier this morning, and I saw a giraffe. Yeah, I saw a giraffe. It was in, I was up in Bramer County. I was at the intersection of 240th and Oakland. That's two gravel roads just west of Reedland. And I saw a giraffe. I took a picture of it, and I'll show you the picture at the end of this. You know, I see things all the time when I'm out riding my bike. Earlier this summer, I saw an emu by the side of the road. I mean, there are a couple emu farms around, right? And every once in a while you run into one of them. But I saw one standing by the side of the road. I was coming out of Shell Rock on Grove Road. It's the gravel road that heads southeast out of Shell Rock on the east side of the river. There's a little uphill bend at one point, uphill bend in the road, and the sun was in my eyes, and it was hot, so I was sweating too. And when I came around that curve and I looked ahead, about a quarter of a mile, right beside the road, there was an emu. I swear there was an emu. It was a big bird, like Big Bird, right? Only not yellow. It was just standing there, big body, long legs, long neck, right? And I could hardly believe it. I blinked a couple times because, like I said, I've got the sun in my eyes, I've got dust in my eyes, I've got sweat in my eyes. So I blink and I look again, and it's still there, the emu. And it's right by the road that I'm riding on. So I just think to myself, geez, I hope the thing is friendly because I'm going. But as I got closer, I realized I could see that it wasn't an emu at all. It was two mailboxes and a post that was stuck in the ground behind it, behind the two mailboxes. And just my angle of vision looking ahead, the mailboxes themselves looked like the body, and there were two of them, so it looked big, and this post thing that stuck up looked like the neck. And but anyway, I ride that route 4 or 5 times a month, and ever since I first saw that emu, I always see the emu when I come around the corner. Anyway, today's giraffe and that emu on my bike ride and another story from just this week have me thinking about things seen and unseen. You know, believing the unseen is an elemental component of faith. We can't see God directly, but people of faith look at their lives, they look at the world around them, and they see enough evidence to believe. Hebrews 11:1 says, faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. People who are not believers sometimes don't believe in God because they claim to not be able to see God. But our eyes can deceive us, can't they? Just this week, someone I'm close to had the scariest 3 days that I can imagine because of something that was seen. See, he'd been experiencing some pain and some difficulty with some regular bodily functions, and it was discovered to be a bladder infection. But the normal course of treatment wasn't working as well as the doctors and the patients had hoped, and some more tests were ordered. And so early in this past week, a CT scan was performed, and the bad news delivered to the patient that there was a mass on the bladder, or in the bladder. Now, it was not diagnosed as cancer, right? I mean, more tests would be required to do that. But that's where one's mind goes, isn't it? Right? When you hear mass in the bladder, what else could it be? That's automatically where you go with that. And bladder cancer is not one that you want. It's really dangerous. It's a killer for sure. And so this person I know worked with the doctors to arrange the further testing to learn exactly what they were dealing with. Right? They took the steps that the next medical steps that had to be taken, but also in their mind, now they knew they had bladder cancer. And they were starting to ask the really tough questions. You know, have I done enough to prepare my family for me not being here? What's going to happen to them? Right? What will this be my last Christmas, or will I even make it to Christmas? Right? What's my treatment going to be like? Is it going to be one of those hells of chemo and radiation that we've all seen people go through? Right? I mean, for 3 days, that's what was building in his mind. You know, some of us say we're at peace with our life and we're ready to go when the time comes, but you know, we haven't had a doctor say, well, there's a mass in your bladder, have we? Right? I don't know if any of us are really that ready. So the fear and the uncertainty built up in this person for 3 days until the next procedure could be performed. And the next procedure was a bladder scope. And that was done late this week. What's today, Saturday? Yesterday, it was done yesterday, right? A little camera was put in there, into the bladder, to look around and see how big the tumor was, how bad the situation was, right? And it had the ability to capture some tissue to perform a biopsy and do that lab testing to find out just what we're dealing with, right? It was the next thing that had to be done medically before starting a course of treatment. But we all know that cancer treatments can be awful things to have to live through. And so you can imagine what was in the patient's mind through all this. But you know what? The bladder scope was clean. They looked around in there. There's no cancer in there. Despite what was shown on the CT scan earlier in the week, the bladder looked good on the inside. The infection and the discomfort were caused by a problem with an enlarged part of the prostate. And it's that enlarged part of the prostate that was appearing as a mass on the CT scan. When he got the good news that his bladder was clean, I tell you, I've never seen someone so visibly relieved before. I mean, he got his life back. And yet he still has the infection, and he still has the discomfort and the prostate situation to deal with. But you know, it's not bladder cancer, right? And what a relief that was, right? We said some prayers of praise over this, right? And I'm not telling you this story so that you'll disbelieve your medical team. Not at all, right? I mean, your medical team, those are good people. Your doctors, your nurses, your practitioners. They're good people who are good at what they do, and they perform God's work every day in the care that they deliver. But this one time, the things we could see with our own eyes, right, was wrong. It was wrong. When it comes to our own physical and spiritual security, it's important for us to remember that one, the physical security is temporary, and the other, the spiritual security, can be permanent. Look at 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 16 to 18. It says this, it says, so we do not lose heart, though our outer self is wasting away, our inner self is being renewed day by day. For this light momentary affliction is preparing us for an eternal weight of glory beyond all comparison. Here's the good part, right? As we look not to the things that are seen, but to the things that are unseen. For the things that are seen are transient, but the things that are unseen are eternal. So that's what I have for you tonight, a little meditation on the things seen and the things unseen. And now here is the picture of the giraffe that I promised you. See, I wasn't kidding. There is a giraffe out there roaming Bremer County. I guess the farmer has a sense of humor, and I wonder how many other folks have stopped and taken this picture. And I'm thankful to the farmer for giving us this little bit of fun. So, hey, that's what I have for you tonight. I will see you tomorrow morning on the live stream or in person, whichever you choose. I'll be here at 8:30 and at 10 o'clock. And don't forget the kids' Sunday school video. It's on Facebook at 9:35 tomorrow morning between the two worship services. So tomorrow's the big finish of the Lord's Prayer series, and it's my favorite part. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Right? I love it because it's big and it's majestic and it's full of awe. And it's also the part that Jesus didn't say. So let's hear what Pastor Matt and Pastor Scott have to say about that. So until then, have a great Saturday